Hello and welcome to predictocast, the podcast where we predict the plot of a movie we know nothing about. I'm Josh, and with me, as always, is Skinner. Hey, Skinner.
Hey, Josh, all you turkeys out there.
I mean, not as appropriate for the movie this week.
I'm not going to call them pumpkins. I'm not going to be that. That's too intimate.
Fair point. But Skinner, we are not alone this week. As we mentioned on our mini episode last week, we are joined this week by friend of the show and good friend of us in person, Sammi C. Hey, Sammi.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going wonderfully. We're so happy to have you on this episode this week to talk all about Pumpkin Pie Wars, a very interesting film that film I think is appropriate.
Yeah, film.
So yeah, we wanted to this time of year is all about being with friends and family and the people you care about, and you know, we care about you. We're actually going to be seeing you very soon in a couple of weeks.
Yes, you will.
Having Thanksgiving together, which is very exciting for us, you know, having been trapped in our homes for so long. And we wanted to have you on to talk about this this great movie and get your takes on it.
Well, I am always delighted to talk to you boys about movies, about anything, but especially about bad movies or interesting.
Wait! This is a bad movie.
Sorry. Interesting Hallmark productions.
It's a film.
Yeah, Hallmark films, excuse me, and especially things that are baking related. You know, that's
yes.
My particular, you know, genre of media that I like to consume. So,
so the reason we thought of you, and I guess we could have picked something that's maybe a little more in your like wheelhouse, but you like the cozy mysteries that have recipes in them, right?
Yes. So something that I have always loved, and you know, for the listeners out there, you two have heard me yell about this, literally. But I grew up listening to culinary mystery novels. When my mom, whenever we'd go on a road trip together, she would get these mystery novels from the library that had recipes in them. So it's literally like, you know, a baker who gets mixed up in solving a murder or finds a body, or a caterer, and literally in between chapters, you know, there's a cliffhanger, and then the audiobook narrator goes straight into describing the recipe for the mashed potatoes that they ate earlier on in the chapter. So
this is where I think we talked about it on the mini episode last week, but this is where I think the recent trend in online recipes has come from. They're just cribbing from the culinary mysteries. They're putting whole paragraphs before you get to the actual recipe.
You know, I like that theory a lot. And the culinary mystery it's a huge genre. There are, you know, one of the major authors in the genre, Joanne Fluke. She's written, I think, like over 30 novels and a cookbook. And you know, and every novel has like upwards of 10 plus recipes in them. So like, this is a huge genre. It's a weird genre. It definitely has its tropes, but it's like very, very niche at the same time. So yeah, it's something that I am into. It's like a comfort thing for me. I'm almost always listening to, you know, some culinary mystery or another, as a background while I'm doing chores or just hanging out, especially in times of stress, which the last couple of years have been a time of stress. So yeah, I've been listening to them a lot. So yeah, this kind of rivalry is something I'm very familiar with that we see depicted in this movie. Although there was no murder,
there could have been.
There could have been.
Yeah, they were very mad at Betty.
Yeah. We will discuss Betty at length because I got some thoughts. But yes.
What were your what were your general thoughts? Just sort of broad overview of what you thought of this.
I liked this movie was kooky and weird, but it also didn't bring the conflict high stakes enough for me.
I mean, there is none between the two. Like, they fall in love and stay in love.
Right, exactly.
Which never happens.
Right. Like, there's like half a moment where they're like, wait, he said what? And then he's like, no, I didn't say that. And you're like, oh, okay.
It's amazing. That's comforting in a way, but I was not expecting that at all.
Like, it was pretty refreshing. But also I was like, okay, so like, the only people that care about this feud are like the two people who started it, and like nobody else gives a fuck. And like, that's really funny when you have kind of a Romeo and Juliet type setup, because
for sure.
Because and I guess, like for other podcasts or for my podcasts, I've watched a lot of Romeo and Juliet setups, modernizations of Romeo and Juliet, and they're always way over the top for me. So this was like a little bit refreshing, but I was also kind of like, can each of them have like a friend who's also really into this feud, or like, can we have some scheming? Like, can we do something?
I wish there was like one more angle on it, like the dads, like, literally when they say goodbye to each other at the start of the movie, like, I wanted to follow that thread so far, and I'm glad they came back to it, but like, I wanted to just like it to like kind of zoom in on their eyes, and then like this soft music starts playing, and like,
Are they in more than just a friendship?
It felt like more.
I mean, I think that's the joke of the movie. I think the movie is kind of making that joke, but the way they're playing it for sure seems like there's definitely a deeper connection there than just golf buddies.
Forbidden golf buddies. Yeah, it was just kind of a lot.
They usually meet in the dark.
Yeah, I was like, you guys go golfing in the dark?
I'm just like, I know it's like since it's the only conflict, it has to be taken seriously, but like, these are all a bunch of really grown adults who like are so afraid of these two women.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, these two women like, settle this 10-year feud in like a short conversation. Like, I don't want to spoil it.
The only time they really get together for the entire time jumps post skip part of the movie, they make up almost immediately.
Yeah, they just talk for 20 seconds, and it's like, well,
because they find a new person to hate
sorry.
instead of each other.
Yeah, that's the movie. That's the movie, like, playing it safe. Like, well, we got to make it better, but we can't have it just be perfect, and that we have to figure out how they can both win. So we have to come up with this other person who we can hate now.
I wish I had gotten a screen cap of the recipe, honestly, since they do have it.
But then you would have to submit to a handwriting analysis.
I like that they win by default.
On the spot.
Yeah, they win by default. Not even that their food is good.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing, is they did all of that, and there was like this thing where it was like, okay, we've got a professional chef, we've got the two bakers who raised these kids, and they all have their strengths, and they're gonna come together and create this amazing recipe. And then like, the judges don't even taste the recipe, they don't even talk about if it's good.
Crazy.
I mean, what if it was just absolute dog shit? Like, they couldn't let them win.
I wanted him to use it like, he's like, I couldn't make a pumpkin pie because someone stole my recipe. So here's my fried mac and goat cheese appetizer.
Yeah.
Man, he's pushing that thing real hard.
He loves mac and cheese, because in the opening scene, he's like, fresh baked bacon Gruyere mac and cheese, and his mom's like, get that away from me.
All right, so let's
talk about.
Let's go through the thing. Let's go through the little plot as such as it is. There's not much to it, but there's some fun little beats in here that I want to talk about. So,
can I talk like Sam during the whole show too?
With no inflection whatsoever.
Wait, I mean, only if you want to charm the pants off of everyone listening.
He is everybody,
we're better. We're just better together. We're more dynamic together.
He's right between the CW Superman, who's on the Superman and Lois show, and then right above Hollywood Boulevard Superman.
Yeah,
he's like right square in the middle. Like, he's an attractive guy, but also there's not a whole lot there.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I was like, I don't know. I was trying to think of who he was like the bargain bin version of, and I couldn't think of one.
So this movie came out in 2016, even though on Amazon it says 2021, which is not right. But we open at the 32nd Harvest Festival with a field full of CGI pumpkins. Which IMDb
I was hoping you would catch that. This weird,
they
like copy paste.
Yeah, that's their one goof on IMDb, is that the fields in the opening shot are full of CGI pumpkins, and it's so much worse than I thought it was going to be. It's like they're a flat plane of pumpkins that it just doesn't look right proportionally. But yeah, so we're at this Harvest Festival, and we see Faye and Lydia, our two matriarchs of these baking dynasties. And they are competing against each other in the finals for the pumpkin pie contest. And they're kind of sniping at each other, and they seem to be very angry because Lydia has gotten a deal from her father to open a bakery, and Faye is upset because she felt like they were going to open a bakery together, and it's like a whole thing. They've been working together forever, but then, they've had this falling out somewhere along the way.
Yeah. I think her father's like, I will give you the money to start your own restaurant as your father, but I can't give you this investment unless if you have that stupid Faye with you.
Yeah, if you bring along your best friend who taught you how to bake, no money, no deal.
Yeah, I can only assume that it was her dad because she mentions it in the apology later, but I didn't really understand. She was like, I should have fought harder for you with my father. And I was like,
why is her dad
what does that mean?
Yeah. I seem to remember, like, she was like, my dad just, he would only invest if I was in it by myself.
Oh, that's right.
And,
okay.
Why? Which doesn't make any fucking sense at all.
Like, they blow by it, but I'm like, why is this guy like, what evil plan does this man have?
Yeah,
like,
he's just.
He should have been a character. Like, he could have added that extra element if we needed it, like the extra, keeping the feud going.
I mean, we have a small town where everybody knows everybody, and like apparently the Bake Off is the most important thing in the world. So it's a small enough town where we can have a rich guy who runs everything.
Right. I feel like any movie, especially like Hallmark movies that are set in small towns that are like based around these big events, like they have a really ripe opportunity to create some soap opera dynamics, right? So you can create kind of a figurehead father, patriarch, even create a couple who are kind of warring. Like, if this family feud had more generations to it, it would have more oomph.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you would have those extra elements that want to keep these things going, and that would, I think, add a bit more dynamism maybe to the overall like story. Because as it is, I mean, there's not much conflict.
Well, I mean, like, Faye, and I'll say right here, I'm anti-Faye of the two. I don't know. Is she named Faye because she's supposed to look moderately like Tammy Faye Baker?
Ooh, that's
because she's her name is Faye and she's a baker.
I don't know. I just immediately recognized Faye as the lady from that one episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. I was like, how do I know her? Then I was like, oh, she's from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Well, I mean, whatever she's doing is to her skin, it's amazing because she looks great. No different 10 years later.
Okay, here's my question about this, because they even though they act like Hatfield McCoys, and she's like, oh, this family is all, backstabbers and stuff. It's literally just the two of them who are fighting, and they were best friends beforehand.
Right.
It's 10 years later. It's treated like the two kids, and they call them kids, and they are absolutely not kids.
No, they're not kids.
Like, they grew up in this feud, but they would have been damn well near adults when it started. So their parents would have been best friends with them, and both sides, fathers and mothers, were best friends when they were children before this feud, when they were adults. So wouldn't they have grown up pretty much together, at least to some degree. Instead, she's like, I saw him a little bit in high school.
Yeah.
I don't know how old they're supposed to be.
Every time Faye calls him a kid, I laughed.
Well, they talk so much about college, so I think we're supposed to perceive them as like maybe a couple 3 years out of college, maybe.
There's a little bit younger than me, and I am not young.
I mean, I guess I could see that. I guess that makes sense that, like, you know, because he says he studied at Cordon Bleu, and like, so maybe, you know, he's a couple years out of that program. I don't know how long.
She is constantly talking about her business degree, like constantly. Like, at Wharton, I did this. And it's like, okay, we get it. So I'm just assuming that she just got out of college like a year or two ago, because that's like the only life experience she references.
So if we just went by her actual age, Julie Gonzalo, if we went by her actual age in 2006, when that took place, the opening scene, she would have been 25 years old.
Okay,
and that's if we assume that it took place in 2006 and is not, you know, and that the movie actually takes place in 2016.
See, they didn't want to spring for more wigs. They should have made it 20 years. They should have made it like, you know.
Yeah, I think that would have made more sense if it had been like 20 years or 15 years or something, and we had seen them as little kids or something. Like maybe they're sitting with their dads, and they're like, well, guess we can't be friends anymore or something.
Yeah, or even like they're like in middle school and maybe they weren't super close, but they're like, oh, we literally cannot talk anymore. You know?
Yeah,
it would have taken like literally nothing away from the plot for them to not be pretty much strangers when they meet, because they become fast friends immediately.
Right.
And they aren't concerned with the feud at all because they're adults. Like most adults are.
Yeah, so we jump forward 10 years. Basically, they break up. They decide to not be friends anymore, and this is when their two husbands are no longer allowed to be friends. Both
I love that the town,
very useless people.
Yeah, I love that the town is like excited by their feud and like this embarrassing conversation they have, instead of like completely cringe within their own skin when they have this conversation on stage.
Oh yeah,
the town is bloodthirsty. They're like just constantly waiting. Like,
and they will put whichever one of these people, these two people in this town, whichever one does not win the Bake Off, they will put their business out of business. They will scorched earth it.
So like that was the craziest thing to me, because like we find out that they both opened their own bakeries, and they have each competed in the contest in those next 10 years, trading off wins. So in the first one that we see, the 32nd, Faye ends up winning. But then we find out after we jump forward 10 years that she's lost the last 3 years. So like, I guess this town is not big enough for two bakeries to survive.
Which is so weird, because like I've never lived in a small town. So anybody who lives in a small town can tweet at me and correct me if I'm wrong. But my general consensus, like sense of it, is that like people would take sides. And they would just be like Team Faye or Team Lydia. Like,
because I like her lemon scones more, and I like her pumpkin things more. Or they would just go to both. They're like,
or they would just go to both, or they would just be like, you know what, Lydia's kind of a bitch. I'm gonna go to Faye's. Like, you know, people have all kinds of opinions and weird histories with each other in small towns.
There's like 365 days a year. I have to go to a different restaurant now and then.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like the idea of like, you know, okay, I've ate here all year. It's great. Oh shit. She lost the pumpkin pie tournament this year. I guess her food's not good this year. I'll go to the other one all year.
Right.
Yes, like that's the thing, is I've eaten at Faye's consistently. Like every week I go in, I grab something to go. I grab a pie, whatever, seasonal. I love it. It's always good. What's this? She lost? Well, I'll never go there again.
Yep.
At least not for another year.
She came second place.
Yes. Out of how many people? It's hard to know how many people are in this harvest
Betty
festival.
Is a lot. So.
Like I think 4 total.
Yeah.
Because it's them. Like when they finally compete at the end, it's Sam and Casey, and then another woman. It's not Gail. I can't remember who the other woman
Betty.
is. Betty. No, well, Betty's at the end, but there's another woman that they beat, and then like they say there's another round.
Yes. So I think
but we never see any of those people. I guess Betty wins there.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, and I could be totally out of left field, but if I remember correctly, I think the idea was that there were like 4 3-person competitions, but they only chose 3 people out of those 12.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Which doesn't make any sense at all.
Win? Yeah, Casey and Sam win their round, but only Betty wins hers.
Yeah, and everybody else
always the pumpkin pie that has you win or lose. Just have everyone make a pie and put it on a ledge, and then all at once. Like, what's the point of the rounds? Is there a loser's bracket that everyone falls into?
Fair, like everybody submits the same thing.
Yeah, you don't get to make some extravagant thing that's like, I'm just going to do a traditional pumpkin pie. Well, I'm going to do a pumpkin pie with a special crust and some bourbon whipped cream and like.
Yeah.
Here's what my theory is, though, why this is all set up this way. It's that the host of the show is the devil.
I mean, he was
sinister.
Yeah,
he's sinister.
He pulls an Airbud. There's nothing in the rule book that says they can't do this.
He is also, I think, reversed aged in 10 years.
Yes, yeah. I think you're right. So we jump forward 10 years and we meet Casey, who's our sort of lead. This is Faye's daughter and the finance manager for the bakery.
Right.
And their business is in the red because they've lost 3 years in a row. So they're very worried that if they don't win this time, their business will crumble to dust, I guess.
Yeah.
And she's got to stop selling special items and just keep to the core stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. And they also have a bad. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. They have they need some repairs done on this place because
check out floorboard.
Yes, because
there was just this crazy floorboard that literally looked like a spring-loaded like weird ledge thing. I was like, "What is that? Is that like a lever that they have to press down?"
Yeah.
Like
I thought, I knew what they were doing when they showed it. Like when she steps on it and she's like, "Oh, I need to nail that down again," and it's like. Yeah, I get what you're doing, but they spring it so quickly. Immediately, they have this conversation. Yeah, and then Faye trips and breaks her leg. And so, Casey is told by her father, Reggie, who does nothing. Like later on,
absolutely zero things.
she goes home and to check on her mother, and he's sitting there watching golf, of course. And then later on, she comes in and he offers to cook her dinner, and he says, "Well, I could probably microwave something for you."
Yeah, he's just like, "I'm literally useless. I do nothing but golf and think about golf with my golf buddy, my special secret golf buddy."
And when he came in later and like took some food from the shelves to take with him golfing, because when you golf, I assume I have never golfed because I don't make that kind of money. But they like, do you eat pastries on the anyways?
Yeah, I don't think that like bringing pastries along with you is like. I mean,
if you have a great baker in your family, you might.
Like maybe
hole 9 is like the pie hole. But like, I thought the story for a second was going to be, oh, they're losing money because dad keeps stealing all the food.
Well, they imply that at the end when they have their restaurant. I know I'm jumping ahead, but it's like they just eat there for free all the time.
Yeah. They're like, nope, you're eating into our profits. I know about profits because I went to business school.
So when she goes to her parents' house to talk to her, to see if her mom's doing okay and talk to her dad. And her dad, instead of saying like, well, we have to figure out a way to do this, he's like, you have to enter the competition. I can't be involved.
Right. And it's like, does he have a job or like other responsibilities that like, because he literally, all we ever see him do is golf and like sit around the house going, I don't know.
And
but
apparently, like the mom's like the entire finances of the family.
She's the breadwinner and bread maker.
Exactly. Because like Casey, even though she's a numbers person and a logic person, which baking is literally just chemistry, has no idea how to bake, not a single inkling how to bake anything whatsoever. Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly.
Watch YouTube in 2015.
Yeah.
No. She only has search.
She starts reading the top of those recipes, and she's just like me. And it's like, this will fuck you and your stupid story.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the hints before the actual, whatever.
But yeah, he tells her that she has to basically take over and do the bake-off because, you know, Faye has said they have to win. It's the only time, like this is the last time, basically, that they...
I like that. In a way, I'm glad the stakes of this are, in the end, completely just the balls are cut off of it. They're completely castrated, because the whole idea of this, when you think about it, is like, wait a second, none of this is important.
Right.
No, none of it is important.
Like your entire theory about why you're doing this, no, that's not like literally, or like on his side that, you know, I can't open my restaurant unless my mom lets me if I win this thing. Like, no, she's your mom. Just have a second conversation with her.
Yeah, or you know, just open a restaurant that is not connected to her bakery.
And they just make a fucking Perkins.
yeah, exactly. They make like a fancy Perkins. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
I wish they just made a Sizzler.
So Casey is upset about this because, one, as we mentioned, she doesn't know how to bake, but also the last time she tried to bake, she almost burned down the store, which seems like a very bad thing. It would make sense to me that she would not want to do it, but apparently
She's a walking 80s comedian about wife joke.
Right. This is a common trope in Hallmark movies that is, and in kind of like the rom-com light comedy genre that gets on my nerves a lot. It's like, you know, isn't it hilarious that this woman cannot do things? Like, she's just working really hard to bake, which is not very difficult, and she like almost burned a building down. And isn't it funny? Isn't she relatable? You know, like, aren't you not noticing how clear her skin is and how shiny her hair is? Because she almost burned a building down by making bread.
She works through the night. They have a walk of shame out of a bakery at one point, and they both look fan-fucking-tastic.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, if I pulled an all-nighter baking, I would not look like that at all.
I could do nothing all night. If I just stay awake, I will at some point just start to sweat. Like, my body was like, you know what? Fuck you. If you're not going to sleep, we're going to sweat. Like, I'm not doing anything. No, body, you're going to sweat.
Every time I've pulled an all-nighter, I've had a zit in an inconvenient place the next day.
Like inside your ear?
Like inside an ear, like right on my chest, like
in the fold of your nose, like
exactly,
where it connects to your face.
Like very visible, very like ugly and green. You know, that's what happens to me.
So yeah, Faye basically says she has to do it because, as we already mentioned, you know, winning the bake-off will bring in the locals, because that's the most important thing. The town is swayed by this bake-off.
Yes, and I have to note, they do have a part-time professional baker that will actually handle all the baking in the bakery while Faye is off of her feet.
We never meet them, do we?
We never meet them, but Faye thinks that Casey should be in the competition because the town is so invested in the family feud. And the press will love it if, you know, her and her ex-best friend hating each other is passed on to her children.
It's
apparently.
So odd because, like, the logic of it between the characters on why they're in it and whose idea it was and who thinks it's a good idea seems to float around a bit every now and then.
Yeah.
Because like later she's like, you have to do it. You shouldn't be doing it. I'm like, wait, which one of you guys still cares about the baking competition?
Well, so we finally cut over to Lydia's store, and it turns out that she still loves Faye's lemon scones because she has people sneak them to her. So she won't, just go get them and make up with her friend, but she has spies buy lemon scones for her.
A problem.
Yes.
Yeah. She's like, I've been trying to get the scone recipe right, and I can't. And she's like fully like eyes rolling back in her head when she's eating this scone. And like, I love a good scone, but like, there's no lemon or pumpkin scone that would elicit that reaction from me.
No, they're good. They overly fill your mouth when it hits moisture, and then but like it's a pastry that's in addition to something else you're doing, and that you don't finish. You don't literally have the reaction she has. And I don't use any harsh language with it.
Well, yeah. It's a sexual thing for sure.
It is a sexual thing. Yeah.
So
it's charged.
Let's make more pie jokes.
Yeah, well, that's coming. We meet Sam finally, Sam Harper, who everybody calls Sam Harper every time when she says later that they're in a relationship. Her sister, whose name I could not figure out from the movie, I had to look it up on IMDb. Elisa.
They do look like sisters, though.
They do. She says she keeps going, Sam Harper? That Sam Harper?
Sam Harper?
It's like
you gotta think in a town this size in this part of America, most of the dudes are named Sam. So you really gotta call it out.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So we meet him, and as we already mentioned, he's trying
dynamo of a man.
Yeah, the flattest guy I think ever.
I kept waiting for him to like really blow out of his shell as he that would have been shared his joie de vivre of cooking and stuff, and no,
not really. He wants to put mac and cheese on the menu, but she's not interested because she doesn't want to expand in that way. She thinks it costs too much money, and it's just not worth what they have. Like she likes what they have, and she doesn't want to build it, and he's not willing to kind of settle for just making baked goods forever because he has a culinary degree.
Does he have a culinary degree?
He does have a culinary degree.
He went to Le Cordon Bleu.
Yes.
No, Le Cordon Bleu?
Yeah. I figured out who the actor Rico Aragon, or Eric Aragon, as he is also known, reminds me of. To me, he is a bargain bin Jesse Bradford, and Jesse Bradford is already, in the clearance section. So that's just. Sorry to interrupt everybody, but
no, that's
just for
totally
the
apropos.
listener.
You're absolutely right. I'm looking at him now, and
bargain
you're
bin
absolutely
Jesse
right.
Bradford. Yeah.
He was comforting in the way that I was watching this while I was doing work, and I really had to concentrate on my work, and he was never pulling my attention away from it.
Right. Yeah.
But like generally in the Hallmark movies, while never anything more than boring, the men have a twinkle to them, a very generic twinkle, but some twinkle. Right.
You're like, this guy would be a lead in a musical.
Yeah, like. They are all experienced hands at acting, and like they can generally play the jerk when they need to for the two scenes where they're a jerk, and then be the guy who's learning to not be a jerk for the rest of the movie. Right. Sam is never a jerk. Sam's just a good guy, and he has no arc. He wants something, and at the end, he gets it.
Yeah.
He doesn't really. They obviously like each other from the start.
Man.
And he doesn't really have to like learn or do anything. He doesn't really have to change.
Nope.
Neither
like
of them
she
do.
does. Like
does
Casey
she?
has
She
to
learns to
learn to
bake.
cook.
Well, he has
bake.
to learn how to balance a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, much harder.
He has to learn how to turn an idea into a plan.
Oh, that's right. They have a catchphrase that I forgot about. It was very important early on versus dreamers versus.
Yep, there are ideas
Screamers.
and there are plans.
Dreamers versus Screamers.
That's right.
Yep,
There are multiple times in this movie where you just think for a second, they're like, well, we're going to go back here and while you guys figure out this pumpkin pie recipe, we're going to fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like maybe they were about to, and when their parents make up and they stop so they can go listen to them.
Yeah, I was like, what were they doing? Why are they what are they doing?
I think this is a chaste enough film though, where they're not going to have sex before they get married. Because when we do that,
most of the Hallmark movies, which aren't chaste.
When we do the flash forward at the end,
they
when
do
it's
kiss
a year
more
later,
than once, which is they rare for a Hallmark
I was
movie,
really shocked they kissed so early.
Yep.
And then they kiss again.
They kissed several times.
They meet by kissing. I'm like, wow, they are really
wow.
This is not. I know this isn't a Christmas movie, so you can do a little different. But holy smokes, these two are feisty.
Yeah.
But they get married very quickly.
Yes. Yes, they do.
So they had to. They were trying to save it, and then yeah. So
both obviously virgins.
That's right.
Clearly.
So Casey is using the search engine search to look up a pumpkin pie recipe.
She gets search points for those.
Basically, Lydia wants Sam to do the pumpkin pie contest because she heard that Faye broke her foot and can't enter, and she heard that Casey would be taking over. So now she wants to do it to bring a new angle to the feud that's been going on.
They love this feud that they also hate.
Yeah. They created I don't know.
Does she promote it that way? Is it like those two cheesesteak places in Philadelphia that are across the street from each other that both claim to have invented the first one?
I invented the scone.
But we're part of the feud. Come here. Try our lemon scones. They're better than across the street.
They should have been across the street from each other.
Yeah,
that would have been funny.
And then it'd be even more confusing that they didn't know each other that well.
And so they also mentioned several times that the TV show Pie Heaven will be there.
Yeah, the Culinary Channel always makes an appearance at the Harvest Festival in Emeryville, Ohio. And always features the winner on Pie Heaven, which,
that's a great name.
Since Pie Heaven apparently always features the winner, and the winner of for the past 10 years has invariably been one of these two women.
Yes.
Why would they continue saturated to feature their market?
How many people? People on Pie Twitter be like, oh, fuck, Faye again.
Yeah. Well, my thing is if you watch Food Network at all, if you're like me when I lived in a house with cable, leave Food Network on in the background in general, you've seen the same pie special 18 times. So you know who if you're in Emeryville, Ohio, that this lady has won the pie thing several times, and you would just go they've tapped out the market. It's like if Guy Fieri went to the same two restaurants over and over and over again every year.
Culinary TV would have one segment on the fact that they're in a feud and they keep winning the thing, and then they would just replay that every year.
Exactly. I mean,
they're not. This is if you watch the Food Network, like Sammy has, they're not gonna go to a location that isn't the one warehouse they film every one of their food battle shows on more than once a lifetime. That channel does everything at a budget. The celebrity hosts don't have home shows anymore.
Right.
They're like, it's our celebrity host, Cake Boss. No, we don't have a show called Cake Boss anymore. No, Duff isn't on any shows anymore. No, this person doesn't have their own show anymore. They're just celebrity guests.
They just judges. Show up in this weird warehouse, and go, yes, this is tasty. Okay, bye.
I was watching one of the shows recently, and I was trying to figure out because the guest, the host of the show, only shows up every it was a 9-hour show, and the host showed up 4 times, and there's three battles of 3, and the winners of the 3 went to a final battle. And They could have just split this warehouse into 3 things, and he's doing all 3 at once and just walking from room to room every now and then. And you save so much money.
Yeah.
They would never go to this town more than once.
No, never.
What do you think, when they're not covering this particular Harvest Festival pumpkin pie contest in the middle of Ohio, what else is Pie Heaven showing?
Yeah, what the hell is Pie Heaven about? Because
Pie Heaven is a place called Earth.
It's basically like what I foresee Pie Heaven being as a show is just like, here are places you can get pie throughout the United States.
Yeah.
Bakeries.
And yeah.
Everywhere.
And like
they have a segment on every episode that's like the last pie you want to eat before you die and go to Pie Heaven. So it's celebrity guests talking about what kind of pie they want right before they head off into the great beyond.
Yeah, like I mean, like I live in Portland, Oregon, which is known mostly for donuts, but is actually a great town for pie. There's a lot of pie bakeries here, so you can have a pretty decent episode of Pie Heaven based on Portland, but it would be one episode because there are like 5 places.
Any feuds going on up there?
Not that I know of.
At Thanksgiving, we have one of the 4 pies we have ordered for Thanksgiving.
Oh, we're gonna be in Pie Heaven. That's
we're
right.
gonna
be in Pie Heaven. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a selfie with Josh and then put a big bold letters in Comic Sans that says Pie Heaven across our faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that for sure.
And I'll tag the location as Pie Heaven.
Pie Heaven. Yeah.
So Sam agrees to his mother's stupid plan of entering the pumpkin pie contest to bring a new angle to the feud, as long as she will listen to his business presentation for expanding their business into doing other things.
He takes this way too seriously.
He does.
She only agrees to listen to his business plan if he wins.
You're right.
Say.
That is
his mother.
Sucks. I hate Lydia.
His goddamn mother, who he lives with and does all the work for.
Yeah, it works for.
So they go to, I don't really know where they are. I guess they're kind of at the place where the Harvest Festival happens. I guess this thing is just open constantly. Like, what time of year is it? Is it November? I'm assuming it's around Thanksgiving.
Is Thanksgiving ever mentioned?
Never.
No. It's fall. It is Hallmark, like, intangible fall.
Because they don't mention Halloween. They don't mention Thanksgiving.
No.
So I don't know
because
when it is.
Which,
on Hallmark, you always specifically mention it's Christmas. Why couldn't they mention that it's Thanksgiving?
Well, okay, because Hallmark has Halloween-specific movies. It has Thanksgiving-specific movies, but it also has, like, fall-specific movies.
How did we miss a Hallmark Halloween movie?
Hallmark Halloween movies are, I mean, there aren't a ton of them, I'll be honest, but they're all basically just like a woman falls in love with a single dad.
Oh, I thought you were about to say
she
falls in love with a ghost.
No, there's nothing spooky going on. There's just, like kids going trick-or-treating. But like, I'm looking at the IMDb page for this movie, and I scrolled down to the more like this, and so it's more Hallmark fall movies. We have Harvest Love, Fall and Order.
We did this on the mini episode.
I have seen Falling for Vermont and Autumn Vineyard. Like, these are all not specific to a holiday.
What was the one we couldn't figure out?
Oh, the one we couldn't figure out, and maybe you'll have some luck with this one, Sammy. Love, Fall, and Order. What is that a pun on?
What is that name a play on?
It is a play on Law and Order.
That's what we thought, but that doesn't make any sense.
Because it's about lawyers. It's literally about lawyers, I think.
But the name doesn't make sense.
Because I've seen that movie, and I'm pretty sure it's about lawyers.
It doesn't work, though, as a name.
No, it's just like, there are lawyers here.
Like, if there's lawyers in this movie called Pumpkin Pie Wars and Order, it doesn't make it a play on Law and Order.
Well, there is a lawyer in this one, her sister, who's dealing with some very serious cases. I like to assume that she's dealing with some sort of Ohio mob cases.
Yeah, I would love that. No, this is literally, it's about two lawyers who fall in love over a dispute about a pumpkin farm. It's good. No holidays mentioned in it.
So they're at this little like outside kind of farmer's market style thing with a bunch of pumpkins and whatnot, and Casey and Faye see Lydia and Sam, and they're kind of standoffish. And
I wrote down a quote from this scene.
Oh yes,
because Casey goes, this is just like the Hunger Games.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention that too because it doesn't make any sense.
And then Faye responds, I don't know what that means, but I'm sure this is worse. And it's like, you two just like exchanged a chilly expression in a market. Like, that's what's in like an open air autumn market that sells leaves. I don't know.
Oh, I think this is the Harvest Festival because this is where
festival?
Everyone they go to sign up for the pumpkin pie contest.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. But also later she's shopping for pumpkins there. There doesn't appear to be a store. There just appears to be this like fall harvest festival.
And it's also, this thing goes on for several weeks because they sign up this weekend and then it's like a week later before they actually get to do the finals.
Yeah. So it's like a several week festival that is the only economic thing going on in the town at the time. It's
the key determining factor between about whether or not a bakery will stay open.
Yeah.
Everybody starts signing up for the pumpkin pie contest. A bunch of people enter. The host here, this devil, has a great joke, which is the best thing to put in a pumpkin pie: your teeth.
Your teeth. I literally wrote nightmare.
Yeah, that conjures up a lot of horrible mental images.
Yeah,
Dante pie,
and the crowd like shouts, your teeth, like it's this like amazing punchline, amazing like catchphrase that they all know.
What if that's their like catchphrase for everything though?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do we want? Teeth. When do we want it? Teeth.
Maybe like this is also like coincidentally like a all dentist town for a different Hallmark movie.
Yeah. They've got feuding dentists.
I love that the host though later he's so done with the fucking contest. He's like, you can only, it's just a fucking pie, guys.
Yeah. It's so
you can only do so much with it as a fucking pumpkin pie. Who gives a shit? Anyways, here it is. It's gonna change your lives. Like, what the buddy, calm the fuck down. Get a different job. You don't have to do this. I'm sure it's a volunteer job.
Nobody is holding a gun to your head making you do this.
Like he fucking if he's not the devil, he's fucking sell his soul to this thing.
He's connected to the town in such a way that he has to keep the Harvest Festival going. He's hosted every year since the Harvest Festival began 42 years ago.
In Derry, Pennsylvania.
But yeah, there is something like distinctly sinister about this man, and I don't think we're overselling it. I really don't.
The teeth thing really kind of sealed it.
Yeah, I mean that's like that's a horror imagery right there that was unexpected in this.
Yeah.
What this pumpkin pie? What's wrong with it? I don't know. It's just full of teeth.
Full of teeth.
It's the winner.
The best one.
The best pumpkin pie of all time.
It's got a good bite. Good mouthfeel. It feels like a mouth.
You know what I say? You know what the best kind of pumpkin pie is? The one where you double the amount of teeth in your mouth.
Yeah.
A mouthful of cavities. Somebody else's.
So this is like the first real conversation I think that Casey and Sam have with each other. It's kind of like they have a little bit of a, I think it's later on they have another conversation where there's more like metaphors about poker and shit going on.
Yeah.
But they have a real like icy kind of tete-a-tete going on there.
Yeah, I wrote down, are these two supposed to have chemistry? Does Hallmark know what sex is?
I've often assumed that they intentionally cast against chemistry.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they don't want like anybody to get horny.
If you smolder at all, like someone's gonna be like writing to the president of Hallmark.
Yeah, they like immediately spritz you with a water. Like, with water bottle, yeah.
What is this?
No.
Grandmother watches this.
Yeah.
So
it's all like people our age just watching it as much.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I signed up for the free trial, the 7-day free trial of the Hallmark Channel on Amazon, and I'm fairly certain I'm going to keep it through at least the end of December.
Well, yeah, I'm like, well, how much does it cost?
Yeah, I haven't figured that out yet, but I need to. As long as it's not like $50 a month, I think I will probably keep it for
if
till
it's
the end
less
of the
than
year.
$14, I will probably have it.
Yeah. But this is when we find out how much Casey does not know how to bake or cook of any kind, because she doesn't seem to know what a mixer is. Mm-hmm. It's a weird thing because she's using a paddle to like stir up this batter, but she's doing it in the mixing bowl so that when her mother comes in and tells her, "I told you to mix it using the mixer," she can just put it into the mixer and spray shit all over herself.
Yeah. And it like also, she is stirring the mixture, and it is like, it looks like kind of a clumpy dough, and then as soon as she puts it in the mixer, it's like liquid that like vomits all over her. It's a lot, continuity wise, but that's
she doesn't know what a baking pumpkin is, which to be fair, I've heard that phrase, I figured it out, but I didn't really know what that was either. And if I didn't know what that was, I would just go to search.com and look it up.
Right, or ask my mother, the professional baker. Like, I don't know. And she does call her mom, but like something that really annoys me throughout this entire movie is that she is insistent that like her mother will not teach her how to do anything. And it's like, okay, but like she literally the only thing she has to do for now is sit down. So like just get her a chair in the kitchen and have her talk to you. Like what like is this?
Like when her mom comes to the bakery, the bake shop, and it's like, "Oh, the person I'm hiring to do the actual baking," which we do not see, had some questions, so I came in. She's like, "You can't be here. You have a broken foot." And it's like, she can talk while sitting. Yeah, she's sitting now. You're making her get up and walk home.
Yeah, exactly.
Walk home, mother.
I mean, if they had established, like, if they had a scene where, like, the mom was trying to teach her how to bake and they fought too much, or, it got too stressful, that would have been a good setup for why she ends up having to learn from Sam, who she doesn't know,
Yeah,
anyway.
like, because Casey and Faye don't really have that bad of a relationship. Not like Lydia and Sam, where they seem to be kind of at odds with each other about the direction of the business.
Right.
Like, Casey and Faye seem to be okay. They're trying to save the business, obviously, but they don't seem to be butting heads that much. So it doesn't really make sense why she doesn't have her mom just either sit on the phone with her, even like just you put her on speakerphone and have her tell you what to do.
And why did she exclusively learn to bake in this professional kitchen? Like, her mom has a kitchen. We saw it.
Do it at home.
It's so weird in like that. The stakes of whether she has to do this or not are always kind of weird, because her mom, like, you have to do this, and then later people are like, you don't have to take over this bakery. You don't have to worry. Just go live your life. And she's like, well, I want to do this. She's like, but I love the bakery. Like, do you really though? And her sister comes home, and it doesn't matter that her sister can't bake, or her sister doesn't work at the bakery. Who the fuck cares about that?
No,
like
she's a lawyer.
She's a lawyer. She followed her passion because she's afraid of blood, but not teeth. But but
not legal briefs.
But like, she comes home and like she's just always. I'm always like, so do you care about keeping this place open or not? Because even like Dad's like, well, who the fuck cares? Right.
And they get to the competition and they're like, all right, Casey, just like do your best. Like we actually don't give a fuck about this. And it's like, what? Because literally every scene up until now has been you saying that like this bake-off is the most important thing that has ever happened, along with this hotel account. in this mysterious giant city nearby.
What a big moment that was that I completely forgot about within like one scene later.
I thought that's where the conflict was going to come in. That like because he calls her.
They were stolen by the other family.
Yeah, that's what I thought because he was
that's what I thought too.
I've got this whole deal coming up, and I'm going to go to a tasting, and it's going to be great. And I thought it was like, oh, it somehow went to him somehow. I don't know because of connections that he has.
Is there a third bakery in town? Then is that what happened?
Right, and they called, and they're like, somebody did a lower bid, and I was like, oh no, this is going to be like Lydia's bakery, and it's going to make everything worse. And then that just didn't happen. Like nothing happened.
Oh, it was Betty, and then they had to let her go because she was a thief.
Well, they didn't say who it was, but yeah, we can assume that it was Betty. But the thing about it is that like this hotel was in like this giant city because we got this, like we got a helicopter shot of like a big city skyline, and like Casey is, dressed in her business casual and, catching a taxi, and she's in the city, and it's like, so you guys are in like a teeny tiny town that is like totally subsumed by this harvest festival. How would it be convenient at all for you to do the pastries for a hotel
chain or
in
something
a large city that probably takes at least like minimum like 45 minutes to get to? On a good day.
So this is when basically all pretenses of a conflict between Casey and Sam kind of goes away because Casey's in the kitchen. She's trying to cook. She's doing a very bad job. She almost starts a fire. She burns her pumpkins. And Sam notices smoke, and he comes in to try to save the day. And everything is fine, of course. But then this leads to him telling her about his plan for the restaurant. And they decide that they're going to join forces while smiling with the brightest teeth imaginable. And she says that she'll help him with his business proposal if he teaches her how to cook. There's some point in here where we see Sam just writing out a menu and hitting and going print and typing as he prints. I guess he typed print and it came off the printer.
That's how we know that he's not good at the business side of things like Casey is.
Yes. So then this leads to the section of the film where Sam is teaching Casey to cook. He has to teach her how to stir. And there are some, I think that I know we talked about them being very innocent films and picking people without chemistry, but there's definitely some, like, they're trying to make this a sexy scene because he has to come up behind her and hold her hand while he teaches her how to use a whisk.
Yeah, I wrote sensual whisking and with like a space between every letter and sensual. Because it was like, they did the whole like ghost setup.
Yes.
But for whisking. And then like after that scene, she's like, all right, well, I think that's enough for tonight. And then they just leave this like half-made dough like in this professional kitchen just huge mess. And I'm like, what is going on?
It's so weird. I mean, she's so really steamed by it, but like, just go a little further. Have him just put his hand inside of a pumpkin guts and just really mix it up.
Yeah.
Here's how you pull out the flesh from inside.
I mean, this is blue, but is that whisk like standing in for his dick? I mean, it seems like it is.
He wants to mix them guts up. That's all I'm saying. He doesn't want a lumpy dough. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either, but it sounds rough. I don't know. But yeah, there is no situation in which you need to like hold somebody else's hand to like show them how to whisk. Like,
I mean, okay, if she was a 3-year-old.
If she was 3, yeah.
And the spoon was 2/3 her size. I've had a child. Sometimes you have to do that. They don't know how to hold it.
But I mean like another adult who has use of their limbs.
I mean, she's probably ate cereal.
Yeah.
She's used a spoon before.
Yeah.
She's never eaten a cereal with a whisk, though, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe she has, and that's why she's confused.
So, they kind of have this whole back and forth thing here where they're helping each other out. She helps him with his business plan. This is when they sort of, really kind of get to know each other really well. He wants to know if she ever thought about going back to New York to do business stuff because she has a business degree. They flirt a little bit more here. And of course, they set up a scene where she's putting a random file folder of papers onto a high shelf so that she can fall off of a little stepladder.
Yes, and he catches her as if they were in a dance, And I'm like, oh my, I think I wrote, he caught her as she fell off a ladder, ! Wow! Because that's like the reaction I'm supposed to have. Like this movie, like the music, it was like, oh my God, look at this. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, movie.
It's like a meet cute in an anime.
Yeah. Yeah, she just needed a little piece of toast in her mouth.
So they almost
adults,
kiss
by
here.
the way. Like
yes.
they're not like even young.
No,
I want to stress that these are
people who are in their 30s. Yeah.
Yes, they're in their 30s and they're acting like they've never been in a relationship.
This is the
before.
first time the small of her back has been touched.
Yeah, so starry-eyed in this scene.
He's gonna touch it with a whisk later. So this is around the time that her sister tells her that she needs to find a way to enjoy what she's doing and like enjoy her life or whatever. Again,
did you get the sense that she didn't enjoy her life?
No, I mean, it seems fine. Like
this was a dick conversation.
Yeah.
But it's
like you're clearly miserable. I'm not though, but you are not like me. I've found my calling. You need to as well. I like accounting. That
she's like, I love running this business with Mom. And she's like, well, you just need to find your passion. Like, you need to figure out what you're passionate about.
That feels like a conversation that should have come from her boyfriend. Like, if they were in relationships with other people, and then she realizes, oh, I'm starting to have feelings for this other guy, but I have a rocky relationship with my other boyfriend, or my boyfriend.
Wow, some actual conflict.
And then he's the one who's like, you got to just find a way to enjoy what you're doing, and that just sends her off. But it's because it's her sister, it's supposed to be endearing.
And instead, you should be doing me instead of him. And you'd enjoy it more.
That's right. Maybe her boyfriend could have been Jake, this cool single guy with the boat.
What's his story? He's got a boat. There's a lake nearby?
Apparently. So they we missed the part where Casey goes to the proposal, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't mean anything. She does that earlier and then it falls through, so who cares?
It doesn't matter. It literally, like, they're basically just like either this proposal, getting this proposal or winning the competition will save Faye's Bakery. They don't get this proposal, so there's more pressure put on the competition, but that also doesn't end up mattering.
So this is the actual like first part of the competition, weekend one of the competition, because Sam and Casey have to go into the first round and make their pumpkin bread, and they're really trying to sell their rivalry to everyone who's around watching them.
This scene made me laugh so much because they both like roll up and they're talking trash to each other, trying to amp up the crowd, and the town responds so loudly and so much that like literally the sound of the chatter in the background is louder than the dialogue. You cannot hear Casey and Sam talking trash because all of the extras are like, oh my God, what is going, oh my God, they hate each other so much, like so loudly. And just the sound mixing on that scene like really cracked me up because like the town was so stoked and they were like barely doing anything. Anyway.
So they make their pumpkin bread, and everything is great. They win. The woman who's competing against them is having a very hard time. Poor lady. And they both have different ways of doing it. So I think Casey's is warmed fresh out of the oven, and then Sam's is cooled to perfection. And
I got that too. Yeah, you didn't catch this when they presented their.
No, I'm still. I remember when you said it, but it was so baffling to me that was his catchphrase for like finishing his meal.
Yeah.
Like if he got when he gets a restaurant at the end, does he like walk out and go cool to perfection with everything? Because
here's my pumpkin bread. I put it in the fridge for a little bit.
It's lukewarm.
Yeah.
It's room temperature. Are you not amazed?
That's what I was hoping the third woman would say. That here's my world class pumpkin bread. It's room temp.
Yeah.
So they do all this. Faye and Lydia have like a kind of a rough exchange, and Lydia tries to fight Faye, tries to throw them bows. And
yes, also like I can't remember both of them. The camera focuses on Lydia and Faye's faces a lot as the competition is going on, and both of them like have this look like yes, my dark agenda is advancing. Like they both look so evil and excited.
Just put fucking emperor robes on them.
Right.
There's such cartoons that I like when they make up at the end. I could give a fuck.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We do get a little scene here of Casey and Sam having a picnic in the woods.
Yeah, like in the few minutes between rounds or something. It's really weird.
And they talk.
They immediately called back too, like, get back over here. Where the fuck are you? Where are you guys?
And they talk about how they have this secret friendship, and Casey's like, ooh, it sounds so illicit.
Yeah. Forbidden friends.
Our moms can't know that we are friends and probably want to fuck later.
But to be fair, do either of these characters have any friends?
It doesn't seem like it.
No, only forbidden friendships.
Yes. That should be a Hallmark movie, Forbidden Friendship.
Forbidden Friendship. It would be a good one.
That's a good title. I mean, I guess that would be like, it would be
that could almost go Lifetime.
That's it. That's a Lifetime thing. Like
okay. Yeah. If I was gonna make to really spice it up for the crowd of 2018, which would be slightly past its peak, but not enough for TV. Mm-hmm. Forbidden Friend Request.
Ooh, yeah.
There you go. It's the guy who killed my father. He wants to be my friend on Facebook.
Face page for the
face page. Let me log into head page.
Buy book.
On Pretty Little Liars, it is called Face Range, which is one of my favorites. Anyway.
It's just people with their heads next to stoves.
Yeah.
You think about it, Facebook is a stupid name.
It is a very bad name.
So Casey, Sam, and Betty go to the final round because their pumpkin breads were apparently the best. And Casey and Sam are kind of having some conversation about like what happens if one of them loses, and like at the end of the competition they agree to still try to make it work. We hear about Betty's son Jake. There's a really funny bit in this scene actually where she tries to bring up Jake to Casey and is like, oh, he's single and he has a boat. And then they tell Casey to take the night off and they'll close up and everything. And then you can, as Casey walks away, you can hear Betty saying to Faye, oh, you're so lucky because I barely hear from my kids.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what leads her to do what she does later, to like turn on her friends and steal from them.
I have a theory that like Betty is the architect of like the whole feud.
Oh, that is possible because I think she does mention that with both of them out of the competition, she's hoping that maybe she could win.
Right.
And
she's like the one person who's like, she's like both Faye and Lydia's like one other friend, which is weird. Like,
yeah,
that is weird.
Faye and Lydia have hated each other for 10 years
for
and
10
like
years.
And the only friend that each of them have retained is Betty.
It's the same friend. which at some point as the solo friend of two people who are feuding over 10 years, you would get sick and fucking tired of it.
Which makes me feel like she's the one who's like fed the fire this whole time.
I think we need a scene where we show her pulling up that floorboard.
Yeah.
We need a scene at the end that plays the Saw reveal theme while she's going through wiggling up that floorboard and stealing stuff.
I want a montage of like 10 years of Betty like making the feud worse, because like I feel like this initial fight, you know, was originally like Lydia and Faye, and Betty was like, I'm gonna ruin both of their fucking lives. Finally, my moment.
Maybe she's like impersonating Lydia's dad on the phone. I won't give you the money unless you only do it yourself. I know that doesn't make any sense, but those are the rules now.
She's like holding a gun to Lydia's dad's head. She's like, you tell her that she has to get rid of Faye.
we see a shot of like her Betty with Faye, and Faye saying something, and we like the camera moves down and Betty's got her cell phone in her hand, quickly typing a text up to Lydia like, you'll never believe what I just heard.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like walking around town humming to herself, oh, bad Betty, wham-ba-lam.
Yeah.
I love that she's like, in the end, like, yeah, you don't like these two moms, but here's this person you're gonna like less.
Yeah, here's the real villain. For no reason.
So they're hanging out at Sam's bakery. They work on his plan, and he says that she lights up when she talks about numbers. Which is quite the compliment. Like, you know, I think that's a good thing to I don't know, Sammy, if you're doing any sort of dating or using any apps, but there's something to put on your app page. I light up when I talk about numbers.
I light up when I talk about numbers. There was also in this scene, like, he shows her the menu that he's preparing, and she says, that sounds delicious, and he looks at her and says, you have no idea. like one of those scenes where a woman is like looking out at a sunset and she's like, wow, it's so beautiful, and the guy's like, yes it is, but he's looking at her. Like they staged it like that, but I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
He's
like,
really
am I missing
cooking.
Something? Like, I
is
don't
he gonna
know
serve
what
her
he's
his
talking
dick?
about.
Yeah, that's the main course. Sam's dick. That sounds delicious.
It's salmon cheese instead of mac and cheese.
Yeah.
It's a salmon cheese sandwich. Come on. So they work on her pie crust. It's terrible. They work all night long on this. This is the scene we mentioned earlier where they come out looking great.
They walk
in
out
the
of the
morning.
bakery, you know, stepping into a Burlington Coat Factory commercial.
And this is when they kiss in the street, and then as they're hugging, she notices two men approaching them, and it's their dads. And
well, they don't kiss because this is before their first kiss.
Oh, that's right. They hug here.
They
that's
hug.
right.
Yes, they hug in the street.
I'm sorry.
Way too early for kissing.
Yeah. Hug in the streets, kiss in the sheets.
These are two randy animals, Josh, like your movies.
That's right. So they find out that their dads have been hanging out together for 10 years playing golf, in quotes. I wrote they've been hanging out for 10 years playing golf. Sure.
Yeah. They've been playing golf, but they only play golf early enough in the morning, so before the sun comes up, which I don't even think is a thing. Like, I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, how do neither Faye nor Lydia know about this? Or do they know and they don't care?
Where do they think their husband is at like 4 a.m.
Well,
every
they have to
Thursday?
get up early for the bakery themselves, and also everyone's a cartoon, and also it's a terrible marriage for both of them.
So they basically say, like, we won't out you guys as long as you don't mess up our golf games.
Can you imagine for 10 years of your life that your entire life is narrative is completely around your partner feuding with somebody?
No.
Like,
I would
so
break up with someone if they were
week.
like that.
Yes.
You know, like,
It's amazing that their marriage lasted as long as it did. Like, it's amazing that it's been 10 years. Like I would not have been surprised if we had cut forward 10 years and like they had gotten divorced.
Right.
Like, that would have also been a nice little bit of conflict if either Faye or Lydia had gotten a divorce because they couldn't handle the feud. Like, they were
these
just like, we can't do
have
this.
Like, have consumed their lives. They've destroyed their marriages.
But it's such a shitty joke of like, well, the men are fine as long as they get to play golf.
Yep.
Well, I do like that they basically went like, you know what, because like to a degree, like it's silly how they have to do it and they're hiding it from their wives and like, have fucking conversations. But
right.
But like at the same time that they were like, you know what, I'm not giving up my best friend for this. This is stupid.
Yeah, it is nice to see like a male friendship being prioritized like this. It's sweet. I was kind of like, aw, but also weird.
Weird. You're doing this. Like, everyone's like, oh, Mom will disown me. Mom will just like, just say no.
Right.
Like, you can't date him, that kid. He's not a kid. He's a 35-year-old. And also, I am also 35.
I am also 35 and can date anyone I want.
like if my mom, even at like I don't know, 17 was like, you shouldn't date that person. I'd be like, I don't care.
Yeah.
If my mom had an opinion on my college girlfriend, I don't remember if she did or not. My entire reaction would have been like, I don't care, and just walked on. It would not have, by that point already, would not have ever occurred to me that I gave a shit what she thought.
Right. Yeah.
So I think this is right finally when they kiss, because they talk. Sam comes over and tells her about this potential deal he might have with a restaurant group, and he wants to take her out to celebrate. So they go to this.
And she gets in a fight with her mom.
Oh, that's right, because she thinks that Casey maybe couldn't win. So she's like, you should just leave. You should just drop out of the competition. And
Casey's like, fuck you, I'm working my ass off. And like, she basically is like, why is everybody acting like I don't care about the bakery? And
why was everyone acting like she doesn't care about the bakery? I was confused as well.
Because I wrote down in my notes, I was like, here's a theory. Maybe the moms are just horrible people. Like, both of them are just absolutely horrible and have like made everybody's lives more difficult than they need to be. But yeah, so he meets up with her and she seems sad and he wants to celebrate and he's like, well, we need to talk. And so he's like, let's go to dinner. And she's like, but we can't be seen together in public. And he's like, just trust me. Anyway, I'll let you go back to narrating.
I don't really know
Josh.
where they go. It looks like they go to the Harvest Festival.
Yeah, they go to the Harvest Festival. I don't understand how this dinner is set up, because it's heavily implied that he made it.
Yeah.
But
okay, what is okay.
It's like a little tent.
Just me.
Yeah, they're in this little gazebo tent thing with like beautiful like fall accoutrements and like twinkle lights and shit. And it's like this perfectly set up like dinner that is already there when they get there, but it's
also empty.
Right.
Yes.
And they just randomly decided to have dinner. So like, what happened?
Is this like a really unpopular restaurant that's beautiful, or did he set it up? How did he? Because in a way, she could have said no.
Because he was like, this is the way that like we could have dinner together without being seen. And I'm like,
she also could have just said, let's order a pizza and go to my place.
Right, exactly. I'm assuming one or both of them have an apartment.
Yeah, because she doesn't live with her parents. So she's always over there visiting them, and he definitely has a place. So
it's like, what are we doing? I don't know. It's so confusing. And they set up the table seated next to each other and not across from each other, which is a pet peeve of mine. Because they're not like at a banquet talking to guests who are approaching. Anyway, I was annoyed by this whole
scene.
It's so
they can't be close enough to
what
kiss.
What happened? Yeah, that's true. They do kiss in this scene.
But yeah, because they talk about not wanting to get consumed with work like their mothers did, and they also talk about that they think they make a good team. Well, there's some line of dialogue, I did not write it down here, but he's like, I think we make a good team, and she's like, oh, I don't know, I might need some convincing. Or something, and he's like, "Oh, it might take a while," and then like they have a long.
That's totally he's about to go down on her, right?
All I wrote was, "I hate this pre-kiss banter so much." Like I can't remember what was said, but I just know that I hated it.
And the tone he uses does not help at all.
No. So a bunch of stuff happens here. Casey tells her sister about their relationship, and she's surprised, but sort of supportive. Hotel account doesn't go through. Doesn't matter. Who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit? Yeah.
Betty shows up here at Faye's place, acting kind of weird. She wants a poppy seed muffin, but she then goes to use the bathroom. Was her intent while she's there to steal the recipe?
I think so.
So like I don't know how she knew that there would be one written down. Like, because if she knows Faye, then she knows that Faye locks her recipes up in the safe because she mentions it later.
Casey's a moron.
Okay,
right. She just came in and she was being massively weird because she was like, "Oh, is Faye here?" And Casey was like, "No," and she's like, "Oh, well, I always talk to Faye about my troubles."
Yeah, I'm having a bad day.
Like,
my kids won't answer the phone.
Casey was like, "Sorry, here's a muffin." Like, it was really weird.
Here, fill your muffin hole with this.
And like, I don't know. I feel like she went in with a plan. She was trying to figure it out as she went. And I think she just kind of snuck back there and saw.
So we also see that she kind of gets weird and then leaves very quickly without getting her muffin. We see Sam's presentation. Does not go well. They want someone who has some exposure to them. So I guess winning 3 years in a row is not enough exposure, but if he wins it this year, then because he's in the competition, not just because the restaurant that he works for is there, then maybe they'll be interested. Yet his food just looks like he rated a TGI Fridays, so I don't really know what that good is. What that's gonna do.
Right. Yeah, he's very like I think at one point I like wrote down what he said and I just accidentally closed my notes app, so I'm not even going to look at it. But he does this thing where he's like, "My dream is to have a family-friendly American-style restaurant with a little gourmet twist." And I was like, "That's your dream? To open like every fucking restaurant there is? Like every single one of them?"
I call it banana beans.
Yeah.
I call it TGI apple chilies.
Yeah. And then he's also like, "I want there to be like big community tables and everything served family style." And I'm like,
"Oh, good. Boca de Samo."
Yeah, exactly.
I want a smaller version of my restaurant to be at airports.
Yeah, he's like, "You know what? Like, what if burgers family style? What if like American cuisine
you slice like a pie,
like gourmet American cuisine does not work family style unless you're making like crazy mashed potatoes."
No, that's what he wants to do. He wants to make food that like is only part of food challenges, but make that family style.
Oh, okay.
So you get that giant 28-inch burger that everybody gets to have a piece of.
Right. Or like, here are like 87 pancakes that are as big as your head, but everybody gets to eat them and they don't get out of there for free,
Yes.
or a t-shirt.
So yeah, they want him to win, and so Casey and Sam kind of talk about trying to figure out how to help each other and figure out a way that
they're cool with the fact that he wins by default.
I guess.
Yeah, well, they're just like, "We need you to have an appearance on Pie Heaven if we're going to invest."
Yes.
Pie Heaven or no deal.
Yeah, Pie Heaven can make or break you.
Yeah.
And
I
so
went to Pie Heaven and all I got was a shitty t-shirt.
if you want to play with the big dogs, you have to go through Pie Heaven first.
So they try to figure out a way that they can both win. Her sister gets real spiritual on her and says that everything will work out the way that it's going to.
Yep. And Casey is like, whew, like, it's like the world is lifted off of her shoulders when she hears that. She's like,
you're right.
You're right. And then she like runs off and immediately starts making out with Sam's face. Yes. I mean, by Hallmark standards. And it's like, you know what my sister just said? Like, everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to.
He's like, cool. And then Betty
like,
sees them.
Hell yeah.
Which creates a big havoc. I thought there was going to be like a secret. She was going to try to blackmail them, but no, we got to get to the end of the movie. So she just immediately tells both Faye and Lydia. And, you know, Faye's pretty upset, you know, kind of, she's a real asshole about it. But Lydia is mad, but also says like, I'm fine with this if this is part of a strategy to get inside her head and mess her up before the final competition.
Yeah. And Sam is just kind of like, completely bewildered by her nonsense.
Mom, you're stupid.
He's like, what? Like, he doesn't really respond, but Casey's sister overhears this exchange where Lydia's like, it's a strategy, isn't it? And he says nothing, just looks at her like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And she's like, uh-oh, maybe this is a strategy. I better go tell Casey right now. And then you're like, oh, maybe there will be conflict in this movie. No,
they settle it at O'Malley's over a beer.
Yeah, she goes to see him. She's like, they're like, where do you think Sam is right now? And she like thinks for a minute. She's like, I bet he's at O'Malley's watching the game.
Something that has not been established about him until right this second.
Okay, he loves the game. Often, all the scenes we don't see him, he's wearing a shirt that says local sports team on it.
Local sports team. I only watch games at O'Malley's.
Yes, that's what it is.
What is O'Malley's?
His
I'm like, there's a bar in this town? Like, this movie just got more interesting. Like,
his car has a bumper sticker on it that says my other car is a beer at O'Malley's watching the game.
Beer at O'Malley's. Yeah, I'd rather be watching the game at O'Malley's.
Yes.
But anyway, she rolls up
if
to
you're
O'Malley's.
honking, I'm heading to O'Malley's.
Follow me to O'Malley's if the game's on. It's just, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, she rolls up to O'Malley's and it's like, oh my God, like, we're in public. She's like, yeah. Our moms are the only people we cared about finding out, and now they know, so whatever.
Who gives a shit? Yeah.
I just love that reaction. He was like, what? We're in O'Malley's, like...
Yeah, and the bartender is like, hey, why aren't you two on TV? And they see Betty on television, who is talking about the pie she's going to make, and it turns out she stole both of their recipes. She stole the pie portion and the crust portion from Sam because we find out later that Lydia mentioned the kind of crust that he was going to make to Betty.
But the audience didn't hear anything about his crust, which was like stroopwafel. I don't know. What was it?
Oh God, now I want a stroopwafel.
Because he made some kind of fancy crust, and then Casey was going to make a silk chiffon pumpkin pie with bourbon whipped cream, which I don't even know what that means.
No,
what a silk chiffon pumpkin pie is.
It sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
If the pie we get for Thanksgiving doesn't have chiffon bourbon mullet on it, I don't even want it.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw it.
I'm just gonna throw up. I'm not gonna even try. I'm just gonna puke at the side of it.
I'm just gonna pour bourbon.
How dumb
on
is she to mention out loud, like, where on national TV or cable at least, that that like, oh, by the way, I'm doing their recipes so they can hear me say this.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what if they hadn't been watching?
I have a special something out there. Wink.
Like, if they hadn't been watching at that moment, they would have missed it and
That's true.
would have still made the same thing.
they wouldn't have known until she like it was too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like she's on the local news or whatever, so like somebody was gonna call them. This is a small town. Again,
Betty flew too close to the sun on wings made of pumpkin pie.
Yep, exactly. And they were like, okay, we gotta rock this bitch. Like they're just like, we're done. We're fixing this. Let's go talk to my mom.
Yeah. So they go talk to Faye. They tell her what happened. Then they take her over to see Lydia, and they kind of all sort of agree to be involved in a plan to make something new. Mm-hmm. And they all sort of bake together, and they come up with this secret recipe, which we see on screen a couple times, where it says "secret pie recipe."
Yeah.
And the Faye and Lydia are standing together baking while their children dance around the kitchen.
Yeah. And they're like, oh my God, look, they're talking to each other and dancing. Like, I don't know. It's a lot.
And finally, this is when we get the apology scene, of course. Like, they apologize to each other. They expose their sort of insecurities about their relationship. And they finally make up, and it's great. They did it.
They're going to fight again before too long.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
because they're working together at the end of the movie. So, of course, that's going to lead to some bitter battles, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And I assume their kids will have to divorce. Spoilers once that happens, because that's the rules.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, their relationship is only acceptable if Lydia and Faye are going to go on.
Yeah, so they come up with a pumpkin cheesecake pie with pecan caramel topping, which seems like a lot.
Yeah, and I like pumpkin pie. I like regular pumpkin pie. Like, why can't we just have a really good pumpkin pie?
Yeah, that would have been really fun.
An entirely different thing.
Yeah, it would have been fun if they had made just a very simple, like stripped down normal version, and the judges were like, "Well, the simplicity is what made this work. This is why this is so good. Yours is too much."
The love in it.
Yes.
Yeah, you could be like, and even the judges are like, we've seen every kind of pumpkin pie, so like you need to surprise us. And so I was really expecting them to just come up with like the perfect, simple, classic pumpkin pie.
Yeah, all they can taste in Betty's is all they can taste is Betty's is thievery.
Yes, and booze.
There's no love there.
Luckily, no one tastes anything.
Nobody actually eats.
Yeah, so we are there. We are at the end of the competition. Casey and Sam enter as a team, and of course Betty says, "Is that fair?" And the devil says, "It's not in the rule book, so it's fine." Also, you got a lot of teeth in your head, and I might need them later.
I might need them in the pie.
That's right.
Teeth.
Remember,
teeth.
Yeah, remember, the loser of the competition has all of their teeth pulled and put into a pie.
Put into a pie, yep.
So they make their pies, and the competition is about done. They've done all the work. Everything's there. And then they confront Betty about stealing the recipe because they notice that she has a photo of it on her iPad. Like, she didn't...
They basically go like, God, is she that stupid?
Apparently, because they noticed it there. So then they... turns out that Casey still has the original recipe.
She's like, of course, it's in my bag. Like it's stupid of them to ask. It's like, why is it in your bag? You're not making it today.
But so she confronts Betty about it, has like a whole big show. Like, oh, is that your recipe? Where did you come up with it? Is it because you stole mine? And this is when the judges are like, well, you'll have to do a handwriting sample.
I was like, yeah, every single one of those judges is actually like a forensic document examiner.
Let's call it the CSI.
It's related to pie war crime. Okay, Josh, it's very serious.
At some point, the organizers of this competition have to go, guys, it's a bit fucking much after 10 years of this shit.
Yeah, if I were the judges, I would just be like, actually, like, Faye and Lydia or anyone associated with them are not allowed to compete in this pie competition.
Let a kid win it.
I'm tired.
A little kid. It would be funny.
Yeah, it would be funny.
Or a nice old lady.
Yeah, they're going to send Betty to The Hague now because of her, her war crimes. She confesses, though, that she just wanted to win She was tired of being in the shadow of Faye and Lydia for 10 years, which understandable, but she is disqualified and they win by default.
Yep. Nobody tastes any pie, talks about anybody's culinary skills.
If they taste the pie afterwards and everybody gets food poisoning, I mean, it doesn't get revoked, I guess. Like,
yeah, like nothing happens with the pie. They may as well have just like spent an hour like staring at each other. They didn't need to bake the pie at all.
And they of course have a big kiss in front of the entire town. Everybody cheers, despite having been frothing at the mouth for this rivalry to continue. They're totally fine that these families have made up and are together,
made up and making out.
That's right. And then we get another time jump to a year later. We see that Sam has a restaurant. And we find out that it's connected to a bakery. We find out that
what an odd idea. Yeah. No one's ever thought about this before.
Yeah, Casey and Sam's Bakery and Restaurant. Couldn't have come up with a more clever name than that, but tells you exactly what you're getting when you go in. And they're married. We see a photo.
There's no way on God's green earth that this family pulled off an engagement and wedding within 1 year.
I mean,
not this family.
They get it done. They get it done.
And opened a restaurant that's been open seemingly for at least a couple months.
Yeah. Well, Casey learned how to bake in like 1 week.
That's not an eloping family.
Yeah, definitely not an elopement. But, if it's a small town wedding, they could probably just be like, yeah, we know everybody who's going to do everything. I don't know. I agree. I wish they had done like 2 years later, 3 years later.
10 years later, and then they're all of aged.
Well, yeah, but like, my favorite part of this sequence of events was a waitress coming back and talking to Sam and saying, hey, there's a table out there that wants to give compliments to the chef. And he's like, okay. And he just goes out there. We don't know what table it is.
And everyone compliments him.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know which table it is. He just walks out and immediately walks over to the table where the dads are having a romantic dinner together.
Yeah. So they're eating together. I'm honestly surprised that Casey didn't have like a baby bump in this thing, like that she wasn't already pregnant. Like,
right.
As fast as they move. And both Lydia and Faye are working behind the counter. They're doing the baking. They I think that there's an implication here that Lydia that Faye has finally shared her lemon scone recipe with Faye.
That was what I really cared about,
Lydia.
Honestly. I need some closure on that.
Yeah, because they are shown like handing a box to a woman, and Faye is like, "Here's your lemon scones baked by Lydia." And like, I just tried to imagine being that woman and being like, "Great, thanks," and like never coming back.
like, who are you talking about? Like, oh, Lydia from Real Housewives of Pie Heaven.
So Real Housewives of Pie Heaven.
So that's the end of the movie. They have a restaurant. Everything's wonderful. But like, does that mean that they just fucking win that competition every single year? They crush every other baker that comes up against them?
Right. They just steamroll everything. And also, did Sam and Casey just like cannibalize their parents' businesses?
I guess so.
And just be like, all right, we're married now, so everybody has to fucking work at our business. Like, you don't have your bakery. You don't have your bakery. We have one restaurant, and it is the family.
I'm surprised, like the sister and the niece aren't working there too. Like, your dreams are over.
Right. The sister's like, you know what? I decided that law is stupid, and I want to be in a small town.
She's their legal counsels. They have her on retainer.
Yeah, she protects their recipes.
Nobody's
Betty is still trying.
Yeah.
Too bad none of them's passion was marketing, so they could have a better fucking name for their restaurant.
Yeah, Sam and Casey's. No.
Oh, well, that is the end of Pumpkin Pie Wars. Wonderful film, beautiful. So glad to have used that to kick off the holiday movie season. Thank you, Sammy, for being with us so much. It was such a pleasure to talk about this with you.
I could not do this movie without you. You had to be here.
Yeah, and it would have probably gotten a lot grosser if you hadn't been here. So thank you for that.
Well, I don't know how responsible I am for that, but I am happy to be here. I'm always happy to discuss any type of nonsense with you two lovely gentlemen. And
please tell people where they can find you on the internet. If you have anything you'd like to promote, please let us know.
Sure. So you can find my social media is all under Spock Girl, SPOCKGRRL. I'm not doing a whole lot as far as creative projects right now, so you can basically just hear me tweet about BTS on Twitter. So
and definitely listen to back catalog episodes of Excessively Diverted, your podcast with our good friend Beau North.
Yes.
And we're so happy to have had you, and we'll see you in a couple weeks, which is crazy to think about.
I know, so exciting. So I will see you guys on Thanksgiving, and I'm sure we'll make some content, some bonus content.
Ooh, maybe
just
so.
A selfie together with a pie.
Ooh,
probably.
that sounds amazing.
Look forward to that, listeners.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But until next time, when we're back with a mini episode telling you what our next fun fall film is gonna be, I've been Josh.
I just realized you just made a name for the theme of the month.
I did.
Off the top of your head for the first time in 4 years.
Let's see if I remember it.
I've been Skinner.
Say your name, Sammy.
I've been Sammy. I didn't know I was supposed to do it.
No one does.
Tells anybody in advance.
I've been Sammy.
You have always been Sammy.
Forever.
And we predict you'll join us. If you like the show, subscribe, rate, and review us over at Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at predictocast, and you can find our entire back catalog at predictocast.com. Our theme music is by Kyle Sledge. Find more of his work at soundcloud.com/geistmusic. As always, thanks for listening.